Guys, we are back again. Even I can trade for another week. This is August 25th, Friday after market close, and we're closing out another successful week. And I want to take you through that. But one other thing I wanted to touch on before I forget is I came across this video right here with this gentleman, Chandler David Smith, and he was talking about a 15 unit apartment complex that he purchased and the breakdown, and he's all excited about it. He's obviously a real estate guy, and he was just going through the numbers and kind of showing what kind of profit he could make off of the purchase and everything like that, how much it costs, what goes into it, and basically how much you're going to make off of a 15 unit apartment complex and why he loves real estate. And it got me to thinking, why I love options trading so much and spreads and all of that kind of stuff. So I wanted to do a comparison because, I used to be on the real estate train just like a lot of people, allured by how much money that you can make and everything like that. And you see all the people, all the successful real estate people out there. And I really think that options it's just not as famous as it should be when compared to real estate. And I wanted to show exactly why, kind of using his success and his story and comparing that against what you could do with the same dollars with options and kind of see who comes out on top. And I'll tell you right now, I didn't look at these numbers. I didn't do these numbers beforehand, right? So I don't know what the answer is going to be like, which one's going to come out on top. I have my hunch in my head, but this is live, right? I just hit the record button because I got stuff to do. Um, so we're going to go through this live, and I don't know the answers ahead of time. But I think I know which way it's going to go. But we'll see, right? But anyway, let's take you through where we are. This is where we are for the week on the spreadsheet. I think the week started on the 21st. So this week we started out in the midst of a roll, kind of recovering from having to bail out on a trade on the previous Friday. So we started out right here. We had a clean sweep this week, which I love to see it. Had maybe two close calls, and today was kind of a weird one, but it ended up being a clean sweep all the way through. So we were able to stack contracts again. What's that? I'm gonna just call it twice this week because this drop in contracts was due to the roll. So I'll say that we started out at 16, so we increased to 17 and then increased again to 18 contracts this week. So really, really good to see that. These are trades that are going to be sitting over the weekend and cooking over the weekend. Today was a tough one, guys, to get filled. Jerome was talking today, so it was just like all over the map, and the market was everywhere. So it was really tough to kind of call it, but we got in there and did what we needed to do by the end of the day. And you see it, you see the results, you see the hockey stick starting ever so slightly to curl up, and that's exactly what we're looking for is the curl, and that's what it looks like when it's starting, right? So not very dramatic, but it is there. Um, and following our plan, here's our plan. Here's where we are right now. And, we're just following exactly what it says. And we're just trucking along right here. When it says increase contracts, we increase contracts. If we have to fall back and decrease contracts, that's what we do as well. So we're just following our plan, right? Um, let's see. Here's today's market. It was pretty, this is really what it felt like right here. It was just all over the place. Started up and then just shot straight on down when Jerome was talking. It shot up, then shot down when Jerome was talking. That's pretty typical. But even after he finished, this is about when he finished, maybe on this bar right here. It just kept drifting down, and I didn't know why. And then it said, "Oops, never mind," and then rubber banded. I mean, these three bars right here, all the way up to this peak right here, it was probably 10 minutes because this bar was red until like the last second of this bar, and then it just bloop, all of a sudden. Now my trade was down here with this purple line, So you can see early on, if you didn't see any of that going on, you're like, uh-oh, you know what I'm saying? And in fact, when it was down here, this is like rubbing right up against my tolerance zone where I'm in the chat saying like, all right, kind of get your parachutes ready. We might have to bail out on this one. Stay frosty, and then all of a sudden it slingshots right back up. And that's just how it goes sometimes. Um, and it just did whatever it wanted to do. So it's just really hard to call. Um, One of those days like that, I wish I would have been able to put in a trade right here for Monday, but I mean, it was just a crazy day. And then you had all other kind of Fed speakers, and then we had this run right here, which is crazy, unexpected, just all over the place, man. Um, so I did get a question from somebody earlier in a DM about my like where I'm entering the trades because they said they couldn't kind of reproduce my entries and stuff like that. I did respond to you in the DM, but I'm not exactly sure which trades you were trying to use an example. So if you could just let me know, I can maybe walk you through it. But basically, all I'm trying to do is trying to find highs and lows and extremes in the market and place a trade there. So it's not an exact science, but I'm basically using the stochastics down here. I posted those settings earlier in the chat, so that they should be pretty easy to find. But I'm using these stochastics right here to see what overbought and oversold territories. I'm usually looking for stochastics to come back into the middle zone to signal that a trend is over. Um, so, like for instance, right here, you can see the lighter blue area and the dark blue area. I'm looking for stochastics to trace back into the lighter blue area from the dark blue area to signal the end of a downtrend, or on the opposite side, like right here, looking for stochastics to come down into the lighter blue area to signal the end of the upward run and place a trade above that. So if it was this, ideally you want to get a trade, on one of these bars right here, get a trade down way below down here. And then the same, if you can identify the end of this run right here, get a trade way up here, something like that. So that's pretty much what the goal is. I mean, there's other stuff to it, like I use the Zero DTE website to identify those same kind of trends, like I said, but it's all of that stuff is in the Discord under where is it at? Tools and trading guidelines. Like it's all here. Yeah, I even updated the trading guidelines recently to show kind of what I'm looking at. So you do have to be a premium member to access it, but it's all right here. It's all right here. Okay. So if you're not a premium member, if you're just a kind of general member and guest and all you see is general chat, you're not going to see all of that stuff. So you do have to at least be some sort of premium member, even if it's on the smallest one, which you get a week free trial. Um, you have to be one of these to be able to see any of that stuff. Okay. Not giving everything away for free, man. It took me forever to develop this stuff, right? So wouldn't be right to give it away for free. But anyway, so that's the answer to that. Next week coming up, we don't really have anything crazy. Monday is clean. We don't really have anything crazy on Tuesday. PMIs on Wednesday, so should be an interesting entry into the week, to nice smooth entry into the week, hopefully. Then we'll get into some stuff from there. So that's our update. Good week. Another week closed out. I think we're up 7.5% added to our total. We're a total of 67%. If you want to include the Monday's trades. If you don't, 62%. So we're at 67 or 62% profitability, whichever way that you want to look at that from our beginning. And yeah, so that's that. Now I want to look at this apartment thing because I find this very, very interesting. So I wanted to first lock in kind of on this spreadsheet that this guy uses. And we're almost at the end of the video, so he's kind of filled everything out. He's talked through on the early parts of the video about, inspecting the property and all the stuff that goes into that, getting the relationships that you need to even find properties like this, and all that kind of stuff, all of the different essentials that go into it, which is a pretty long section, talking about a spreadsheet, the numbers and everything. But the important part for this particular video is I want to look at the returns on the cash that he puts in, and then the leverage, right? Because all of these deals have a lot of leverage. So this particular property costs $1.5 million, and he put in, I believe the total was $358,000 of his own money or his company's money or whatever into this property to get it closed. So this is his cash, um, that he had on hand to be able to invest with. All right. So that's piece number one. So in our world, this is what we would basically deposit into our account. All right. $358,000. And we'll even call it $350,000 just for clean math, or 375, whatever. I'm gonna just call it 350,000 and be the most conservative. Uh, and then he's got his rents and all this kind of stuff broken down here, tax and insurance costs, blah 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 blah. Long story short, basically, your cash flow for the year that you're generating off of the $350,000 investment is going to be 64,500, which is an 18% cash on cash return. That's our profit, right? Our annual profit. Okay. And then there's another piece that happens when you sell the property, and that's the combination of the cash flow plus the selling of the property, which generates that capital gain, is why people love real estate so much, because this number turns into a larger number, $2 million, whatever it may be, over time, that you didn't have to pay in the first place, but you get a return on. So if you bought this property for $1.5 million, you got a loan from the bank, um, and the tenants are paying the note for him while he holds it and everything like that. Then let's say this goes up to $2 million in a year or whatever it is. Then he's going to get the difference between the 1.5 million and the $2 million, and all he had to pay was 375 or $350,000 to get that return, plus all the sweat equity and everything that goes into owning an apartment and dealing with the tenants and all that junk, taxes and everything, whatever. So you get the combination of that, which he goes into in this video a little bit later. But those are the figures that I want to work with, because that's kind of like your bottom line numbers. Okay. So you got your cash flow number, and then you got your capital gains number when you sell the property. So he went into an example a little bit later in the video. I'm gonna see if I can pinpoint it real quick or not. I don't, maybe not, but I'll try. Yeah, right here. So he was saying he knows this market very, very well. He believes that he can get everything right on this property and fix it up and all that kind of stuff and sell this property for $2.2 million, which would be like a 700, I think about 700,000, yeah, $700,000 return, um, on the property. Okay, so he bought it for $1.5 million, gonna sell it for $2.2 million. Where's my thing? $2.2 million. I hate doing quick math in my head, so I'm gonna just go ahead and get the right math. Yeah, $700,000. Okay. Plus the cash flow that he got. This is after 1 year. He's saying he think he can flip it for that in 1 year. Plus the cash flow return that you get off of the property. Now I don't know. I think he put in expenses as maintenance, management, insurance, taxes. He did not put in how much it's going to cost to renovate all the stuff. I don't think I didn't watch the video that closely, but I would figure you would put that number in right here. So just know that there would be a cost in addition to what I see here as far as fixing up the place and all that kind of stuff to get the units ready to sell at this price. Or maybe there's not. I don't know. I'm just going to go with the number he has. Okay. But let's just say whatever that's already baked into the pie, or they paid for it, or something, whatever. Okay, 700,000 plus the he had 60, I think it's 65,000 or something right here that as well. So I'm gonna call it. We're gonna go ahead and call that $765,000 return off of his $350,000 investment. I don't know why these numbers changed. I didn't, like I said, I didn't watch the video that closely. You know what? I'm gonna just use these numbers on as he has them right here. Okay. So I'm gonna just say no. I'm gonna make this as hard as possible. I'm gonna make this as hard as possible. So I'm gonna use his original number, which was $350,000 for his down payment. I'm gonna use the 65,000 right here for his cash flow for that 1 year, and I'm gonna use the $220,000 selling price. So based on $350,000, he can generate basically $760,000 in revenue, which would net him minus 350, $415,000, which would be a return of about 118% in 1 year, 365 days. Okay, so 118% return. That's as generous as I can make the numbers for real estate. Okay, trying to be, apples to apples. All right. So let's go in here and we're going to go into our spreadsheet and we're going to start we're going to use our same plan that we're already on. Okay. And we're just going to see how long it would take us to get to the same 760,000 from 350. So there's $350,000 total money. This is not investable money. This is our total money. We're starting out with the same number he started with, $350,000. Okay. And that's our day number 211. All right. And we're going to see if it takes less than a year or more than a year for us to get to 765,000, I think it was. All right, so let's find 765,000. Oh, right here, 770. Close enough. So this is day 270. Day 270 of our current plan from day 211. And let me calculate them days. Now these are weekdays, trading days, to be fair. So 270 minus 211. So 59 trading days it would take us using the same plan, actually a more conservative plan than we're on right now, actively making actual money with, to make the same amount of money that he is touting over a year for his plan, right? So that's crazy, right? And even if I went even more conservative, instead of shooting for 2% returns, I could shoot for 1% returns, and we'll just say that'll double the time. Instead of 59 days, we'll just multiply that by 2 roughly. We know it's not going to be exactly 2, but that's 118 trading days, right? 118 trading days. Divide that by about 20, and that's about 6 months. 6 months. So in half the time, we can make the same amount of dollars. And truthfully, according to this plan, we're only risking half the money at a time. So we're actually even doing even better than that because he's risking his full amount, if you want to call it that, and we're risking half the amount according to this plan, and we're doing it in half the time. And then you've got the intangibles, right? So if you watch his video, he talks about all the things that go into, owning a property like this, like, worn roofs and, you know, cracks in the concrete, and you got to fix this and that, and the windows are broken and messed up, and the AC units and the floors, and then the tenants, I'm sure. Like I had to run a property before. It was actually not a full apartment or anything like that. It was a condo, but it was a total disaster. Total disaster of stress, of being an albatross around my neck for years because the person never paid any rent and you can't kick them out, and this and that. And maybe an apartment is easier because you can actually hire people to deal with all those problems for you and all that kind of stuff, but that's another expense and another headache. It's just headache after headache after headache. And stuff that you have to know. You've got closing costs, you got this cost, you got that cost, you got lawyers, you got real estate taxes, you got uh, different sets of laws and regulations that you have to follow, and you have to keep the place habitable. And um, people are messy. People, when it comes to dealing with people, people are messy. People are just messy, right? So you have all of those intangibles that you have to learn up front, learn how to deal with, assemble a team to be able to deal with these problems, just to get to the point where you can plop down 350 $350,000. Again, where are you going to get that from? That's a whole nother situation. Then you have to find a bank that's going to lend the rest of the money, which is a whole nother problem, which means you got to deal with credit. You got to deal with figuring out how to get the credibility, how to get your company, your LLC, whatever it is, to the point where a bank's going to take you seriously. Um, it's so much that you have to consider if you're standing, you don't know anything about this stuff, but let's just say you have a passion for it or whatever, but you're just sitting at a place where don't, you don't know what you're doing yet. And you're just starting to watch these videos as a new person and stuff like that, and you say, "Ooh, that looks interesting and everything. I want to do that." You have to go from point Z, the distance from going to zero to signing the paperwork. And then after you sign the paperwork, then you got to deal with the tenants. And then what if somebody sets fire to the place? Then you got to deal with insurance. Then you got to clean up the place. Then you got to keep the place clean. Then, the city might change a code on you, and then you got to deal with that. And who knows? Then you got to get the place painted. You got to repair the roof. It's a lot. It's a lot of so many different variables in comparison to what we do, which is sit in front of a computer, look at think or swim. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say what we deal with isn't a lot, because it is, but not when it comes compared to dealing with real estate. Um, because I can sit in front of this computer if I'm sitting at the same place as beginning real estate guy and I'm watching the same videos. I can learn what stochastics means in a few seconds, a few minutes. I'll give it a day to understand what stochastic, what all this squiggly line means, right? If I don't know what it is, some squiggly blue purple line, it takes me, okay, a day to learn this. This is maybe one quarter of the tools that I use and the stuff that I have to deal with when I'm trading options is stochastics, right? So one day to learn what stochastics is. Another day to understand what candlesticks is. I can't imagine it taking more than a day or two to understand what candlesticks are, right? Oh, what's the squiggly red and green Christmas looking stuff? Oh, that's candlesticks. This the wick and this the blah blah blah. That's 2 days. So now I understand what stochastics is. I understand what candlesticks are. What are these red, purple, green other lines that are just straight? Oh, that's pivot points. That and once you learn candlesticks and stochastics, okay, 15 minutes to understand what pivot points are. Um, okay, got that. What are stocks? What's the stock stuff? Okay, a week maybe to understand, get a really good grasp of what stocks are, why they move, and all that kind of stuff. Their companies, blah blah blah. Okay, so now you got a week and a half down. You understand all that you need to know about stocks. You understand all that you need to know about candlesticks, pivot points, stochastics. Um, Maybe a month to get a good foundation that you don't have to go anywhere for or don't anybody special to get. Maybe another month for options, 2 months to learn all the foundational stuff that you need to learn. Not the savviness, not the instincts and everything for a trader, but just to learn the foundational, definitional, know what is going on with all of this stuff that's on the screen if you've never seen it before. 2 months. Enough to be able to deposit some money and have a reasonable chance at success at this, right? So you know what a spread is, you know what the definitional stuff. It's not foreign to you. Once you get to that point, if you have $350,000 to deposit, you can immediately make your first check that day and walk away if you want to, right? Or you can do it for a week. Make yourself whatever it was per day. How much was it? At that level, 350,000, something like right here. So you're gonna make what's that? $6,000 that first day. Yeah, $6,000 that first day. Um, Not this is realistic. I'm just saying like apples to apples, because it's also going to take years to build up something to be able to sign your. I'm talking about signing your first apartment, 15 plex apartment, right? Uh, this is the same kind of level, right? So once comparing the time it's going to take for you to get from zero to signing your first 15 plex to zero to making your first $350,000 options trade, your first day after you sign that apartment plex thing, you're not going to walk away with anything but a bunch of paperwork. Your first day trading options, you're going to walk away with $6,000 in your pocket. The first week, you're going to walk away with, what is that, 4 or 5 days? You're going to walk away with $32,000 in your pocket, a whole minimum wage salary in your pocket. While this video, if you look at the spreadsheet, $64,000 was the first year's cash flow, first year. So you're walking away with 6 months of cash flow in the first week with the same numbers, right? So to me, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. Okay. And then you could say you could drop this down to 2%. Is that 4% right now? Drop this down to 2%. Okay. So we go from 6,000 to 3,000 a day, right? Um, so like the difference in just the different amount of variables that you have to deal with, because look, think about this, right? I don't have any tenants to deal with. I don't have any spills. I don't have any plumbing problems that I got to deal with. I don't have any roofs I got to replace. I don't have any regulations I got to keep up with. I don't have any city assessors. I don't have any lawyers. I don't have any dogs, cats, pit bulls, kids running around, playgrounds I gotta build, uh, hurricane force winds and tornadoes I gotta worry about protecting against. I don't have any of that. I have a electric bill that I have to make sure is paid. I have an internet bill that I have to make sure is paid. Um, I a keyboard I have to make sure works, and a mouse I have to make sure is plugged in. Um, and I'll call it maybe a TV so I can keep up with the news if I want to watch it on the TV. Maybe. Um, there's so many fewer variables for way more potential return, right? And the taxes are going to be the same. Taxes are taxes, right? Now, real estate is hailed for being tax efficient, right? But taxes are taxes efficient because of the lending aspect and the leveraging aspect and the fact that almost all real estate is done under a business name, so your expenses are counted or taken from your income. Well, business taxes are business taxes, so you could set up an LLC or whatever, or a sole prop as a trader. And they even have tax codes for day traders as well to make it even easier in certain aspects if you want to look into it, right? So either way you look at it, or I can think to look at it, options trading beats real estate, man. It really does. Um, I think the only advantage I can truly think is that if your apartment complex burns down, you have insurance to back you up, and I don't think that there's any kind of trading insurance in case you blow up your account, which is why we have the rules that we have, so you don't do that. Um, I mean, you tell me. You tell me. I'm not trying to sell you on it. I'm trying to be as honest as I can about it, right? So I'm open to things that I don't know, but from my knowledge, it seems hands and like I said, I didn't look at this prior to. I didn't know what these numbers were going to be before I even started to record on this video. All right, so this is just another feather in the cap for options trading to me. Um, I might try to look up selling drugs to see if maybe that's more lucrative. There is one sector, a niche sector of real estate that I actually would do over trading options. I will be honest about that, and that is billboards, owning billboards. I would definitely do that over options if I could get into it, and I did try. um, but again, a lot of the same advantages. You don't have to deal with people. You don't have to deal with, all the messiness of people and all that kind of stuff. You still get your cash flow, all the same stuff. But I would definitely do that. But if I had to pick two ways, if I had to pick a way to use $350,000, either buy a 15 plex apartment or trade options, to me, it's hands down, right? And I can do this from anywhere. I don't have to be anywhere. I could be sitting on the beach in Maui. I could be in Alaska if I wanted to, as long as I got internet connection, as long as I can wake up in time. And that's even questionable. That's only because I do zero DTE stuff, right? If I wanted to switch to like week long options, I wouldn't even have to worry about the time, you know? So just, I mean, it's amazing to me that this stuff isn't more popular. That you know people with money don't look into this. Maybe it's because you can't really pay other people to do it for you. Maybe that's it because it's really an individual thing, and it's not like you're building a team around you or anything. It's like just you and your computer. Maybe that's it. Um, But it's just amazing to me that this is not a more popular way to build wealth, especially from a small amount. Um, because it's just crazy. The numbers, these are the numbers. We prove it every day. This is That's the numbers, right? But anyway, talk to me. Talk to me in the Discord, leave some comments. Let's get some discussion going, man. If y'all know something that I don't know, or seeing something that I'm not seeing, I want to know about it. All right. So hit me up. All right. That's it for today. I'm out.